Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to Top 5 Rock Albums of 1985. What a year for music. So 40 years ago, 1985, the 80s sound and style was in full swing. So many great albums were released that year. We got genre-defining albums, career reinventing albums, catalog enhancing albums, reputation securing albums, chart topping albums, and so much more. All coming together to make an absolutely amazing year. So join me as I run through the top 5 rock albums of 1985. We're going to get to it here in just a bit, but before we start, if you're new to my channel and haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like. All those things do help support my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by turning on notifications, you'll never miss an episode and stay up to date on really cool things like this, where we're talking about the top 5 rock albums of 1985. And I want to preference that as saying I did specifically set this as a rock sort of countdown because I plan to do a metal version at a different time. And we are going to kick off with the first one. And don't let the genre title fool you, because while this band is a glam metal band, I firmly put them in the rock category. So coming in at number 5, Dokken Under Lock and Key from 1985. Third studio album from this band, extraordinary from start to finish. It's got a little bit of all their different styles on here. It's got the fist-pumping glam metal sounds. It's got the mid-paced rock. It's got the power ballads on here. But the mix of sounds that are on this thing, I think, really builds upon what their previous album, Tooth and Nail from '84, was. That was a bit heavier of an album. This one here basically sounds like they mixed in the popular sounds of the day from, say, Def Leppard into it, but it just hits all the hallmarks, at least with me. Amazing standout tracks on here like Unchain the Night, The Hunter, In My Dreams, which was probably the first song that I knew or, caught my ear from Dokken. It's Not Love is on here as well. But as I said, soup to nuts, start to finish, this whole thing is a really great album. In the end of the day, this album would climb to number 32 on the Billboard charts and be certified platinum, which I think just tells you that this album here is as good as it is, at least at the time anyways. But I've got such fond memories of this album. All right, talked a lot about this one on other episodes and different countdowns and rankings and stuff like that, so of course it has to be included here. Australian rock band AC/DC, Fly on the Wall, coming in at number 4 here, 10th studio album. It was the 4th one with Brian Johnson. It was also the first one to feature Simon Wright on drums. I think he brought an interesting flavor in terms of the rhythm to this thing when he joined. So, this album doesn't ever seem to really get the love today that I think that it deserves, but I know there's a bunch of you out there that agree with me that this is a fantastic AC/DC album. It is a personal favorite of mine, and I don't really know why that is. A lot of people don't like the mix on it. It has never bothered me. I like it. I think it sounds great on here. Cool standout tracks, Fly on the Wall, the title track, Shake Your Foundations, Sink the Pink. I do know that because some of the music from this was used in the Stephen King movie Maximum Overdrive, and then it was on what would essentially be the soundtrack, but was also an AC/DC compilation, Who Made Who, that came out in 1986, that this album, for me at least, I heard a lot more. I heard it in the movies, heard it on the soundtrack, heard it here, seeing it on MTV. So it certainly soaked in more for me. But then I love 80s sound, and this album here did that for me. This would go all the way up to number 32 on the Billboard charts, be certified platinum, and yet still doesn't get the love that it deserves, but it did well, at least for the band at the time, keeping them in the limelight and everything. But I still think this is an absolute standout album from AC/DC, and certainly from the year 1985. Coming in at number 3, Kiss, Asylum, 13th studio album, first to feature guitarist Bruce Kulick in the lineup, who took over for Mark St. John, who only lasted for one album. This one here is definitely got more of the commercial sound to it than other Kiss albums. Definitely have them really leaning in on their glam rock, glam metal, right? Remember, they actually were glam rock, and that influenced glam metal. And so it definitely has them leaning into both of those, I think, and it helped elevate this album, the band, everything sort of to the next level, the way a number of those 70s rock artists were able to do. This album here being no different from that. Standout tracks on here was the mega hit Tears Are Falling. Any way you slice it, I think is a fantastic track off here. Who Wants to Be Lonely? Great song. But again, another one of those ones that just from start to finish on here is a really great sounding Kiss album. Certainly for the 80s, but I would go as far as to say in their whole career, I've always felt that Asylum is a stronger album. And a lot of these albums that we're talking about today from the 80s don't really get the love that they deserve. They're kind of lost in that and sometimes written off because they have that 80s era sound to them. I guess if you really enjoy the 80s era the way that I do, you're going to love these albums no matter what. But I do want to certainly shine a light more on some of these albums. So that's one why we're talking about the albums we are today. This one here would go all the way to number 20 on the Billboard 200, though in the end of the day, only certified gold. I was a little surprised by that. Would have thought this would have been a platinum selling album with As Good As It Is. Okay, coming in at number 2, Heart, their self-titled release, 8th studio album. The band reinvented themselves here, or maybe more appropriately, I should be really saying the record label reinvented the band, or maybe it was management reinvented the band. But basically, they had outside songwriters brought in. They brought in producer Ron Nevison, who really polished up the sound on this album here, giving it that perfect 80s rock sound, and it helped bridge them from the classic rock of the 70s into what they were doing. A lot of 70s bands, as I mentioned before with Kiss, Aerosmith was another one that was able to make that bridge eventually. This album here, one of the biggest ones, and one of the artists that did that more than anyone was the band Heart. Now, those outside songwriters that were brought in to work on this album, Jim Valence, who had worked with Bryan Adams, Holly Knight co-wrote on here, Bernie Taupin from Elton John, Martin Page. There was a lot of different outside writers. In all, the band only wrote or co-wrote 4 of the songs on this album. I think there's 10 tracks total, so 6 of them were outside songwriters, which takes a little away from the album overall, not being a full-on Heart album, but it's just so good from start to finish. If we kind of put that aside and don't worry about it and just think of this as a 1980s era album, in my opinion, it's one of the strongest ones that came out. Hit singles that came off of this thing, These Dreams went to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Song Never went to number 4. What About Love went to number 10. Nothing at All also went to number 10. So they had 4 top 10 hits off of this thing. If Looks Could Kill, which I think is the best song on here. It's also the most rockin' song. What a great way to kick off this album. Still went to number 54 on here. But in all, this album would go all the way to the top of the charts and sell 5 million copies. And I know numbers don't necessarily equate to great albums. Certainly not saying that at all. I just think that is a great thing because I love this album so much. I'm a fan of statistics, so I like to share that stuff with you guys. But all in all, I do think this is one of the best albums of 1985. But what is the best album of 1985? And I know I'm going to be a little bit partial to this because this is one of the first cassettes that I ever bought. But coming in at number 1, ZZ Top, Afterburner, their 9th studio album, second in their trilogy that they were doing with the modernized sound that incorporated drum machines, synthesizers. And this one here, while it is totally dripping with that 80s synthesized sound, it absolutely captures the era. And I think it still holds up really well, but it's like if you want an album that screams the 1980s, this is that album, even more so than previous album, Eliminator, which is a fantastic album. But this one here for 1985, it was all the rage. Standout tracks on this, I absolutely love the song Sleeping Bag, which went to number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100. Stages went to 21. Rough Boy, their ballad, I think it might be their only ballad, went to number 22. Velcro Fly went to number 35. So 4 top 40 hits were on this thing. Great deep cuts on this, or album cuts. Can't Stop Rockin', that's been used in soundtracks and other things going forward. We still hear that today. So this album was, as I said, one that I bought on cassette. I think in 1989, I was in 8th grade at that time. And I just remember walking around with this in my Walkman, enjoying it, and having borrowed it from my older brother and basically playing and wearing out his cassette, I had to get my own copy of this thing. So it's certainly going to weigh even higher for me, but I absolutely love this album. Went all the way to number 2 on the Billboard 200 and has also got certified for 5 times platinum in sales. So there you go. I think those are the top 5 albums, rock albums of 1985. You can weigh in and let me know which rock albums. Let's keep it in the rock family. And we'll do a metal one at a different time. But yeah, weigh in. Let me know. Do you think any of the 5 that I talked about here, or do you have your own that you think is the number 1 rock album of 1985? Weigh in, let me know. All right, everyone, take care, have a good one, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.